Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and this one you will remember from Instagram if you follow me on there. So I am using some of the faces from, I have a feeling these are from the Church Doodles collage pack from Dina Wakley, and I knew I wanted to do some sort of cutout page, so I found this face with these kind of really cool leaf doodles at the side of it, and decided that I could use that because I could cut out around the shape that was there. I've recently discovered that a great way to get your collage paper to sit really nicely in your journal is to just kind of burnish it with your finger after you've glued it in place. Some of you may already know this, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit slow to the game here, not sure. So then I'm just cutting around really carefully. Obviously this is dry before I started cutting. Just cutting around the shapes that are there just to create that cutout edge to my page. Very carefully. Okay, so that's the start of it. One thing that I really like to do is to alter the shape of the pages in my journal. So like there's no rule that says that your pages have to stay square, is there? And I just think it makes it even more interesting if you add lots of different colours into your journal. Colours, oh my gosh, shapes. It's because I was watching myself playing with that colour there. If you add lots of different shapes and patterns and surprising pages into your journal, it makes it even more interesting to look at. So this is Sage from Dina Wakley. I'm using a dry brush. And you can see my paint was, it had nearly run out. And then here I'm using my floating stencil from Funky Fossil that I designed. And I'm just lifting some of the paint through the stencil. So the reason I'm using my paper towel there just to blot the page is because my baby white was a little bit damp. So I was just lifting some of the moisture off the page. Next I am going in, adding in the whites of the eyes. Just something that I like to do. It kind of brings the face to life a little bit. This is the bead curtain stencil, and here I am using, I think that might be magenta. Maybe haven't changed my blending tool, not sure. This is my dots and dashes stencil. Here I've just added a bit of white to the paint and just doing a bit more stenciling over the top. So now I'm just having a bit of a think about what I'm going to do next. So I knew I wanted to layer another page underneath. And one of the things to do once you've put an image into your page is to make sure that it's grounded. So you can see, excuse me, I'm just working on extending some of the lines to the top and bottom of the page so that it isn't just floating and it feels a bit more like it belongs. So now I'm just looking at kind of what's already there with the drawing that Dina's already done, and I'm just going in and adding a bit more, just having a bit of fun, kind of copying, I suppose, the style that Dina's already drawn, and just adding a few more bits and bobs onto the page just to make it feel a bit more like it's meant to be there. And also I think there's something to be said for tracing over lines like this and learning that kind of that muscle memory that you learn from copying drawings, learning the placement of features. It's another great way to practice drawing faces. So then I'm using my dotty stamp and I'm just putting that at the bottom of my page, and at the top again just helping to ground that image. And just because I like it, I'm going to add it at the side as well. So next I'm going in and adding a bit more contrast on the page by popping some white dots in amongst the black dots, just helping to link it with the whites of the eyes as well. And then I don't know why I did this, but I must have had a reason at the time. I'm adding a bit of a colour wash over the back of the page. Yeah, I have no clue why I did this, but I do quite like how it looks. I think I probably should have extended it over the face a little bit more. But yeah, it's pretty. I don't know. And then just dabbing some of that excess off. Okay, so then I'm just adding a little bit of colour to the face. So this is a Neo Colour 2, a little bit like a scribble stick. It's a water-soluble pigment stick. And just by picking a bit of pigment up on the end of my brush, I can pop that on my image. Not really going for a heavy coverage on the skin tone, just a little bit of an idea. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the page behind, and I want this to layer with the page in front. So I'm going to use a couple of the smaller images, and I'm just cutting those out, and I'm going to work out how to fit those onto my page so that they layer nicely with that first page that I've created. I'm just popping that page over the top just that I can make sure that where they're sitting, they're not going to be hidden, they can be seen, and they sort of play quite nicely together. So I am laying this one over the top. You can see just playing with its placement really. And don't forget, you can always go in and add some of your own marks on there as well, just to make sure, like I did with that one on the first page, that it all feels grounded and like it belongs. And again, I'm doing the same thing I did on the first page and just cutting away the edge of the page. So here I'm repeating the process that I did on the first page, and I'm just going over the lines that are already there, making sure the images are grounded at the top and bottom of the page. And this just helps to pop the images out from the background as well, because I want them to very much be the focal point here on these pages, are these really cool sketched images that Dina's done. And also just it's really fun to kind of trace over and like I was saying before, kind of learn about the placement of the different features. You notice I'm not holding my pen tight at the bottom, I'm holding it quite loosely, sort of halfway up. I'm not in quite a relaxed way. That's what I'm trying to say. And then you can see how those pages layer quite nicely together. Okay, so now I've got those pages with the images on, it's time to start thinking about adding some colour to this second lot of pages, and making those leaves on the left hand side fit with what I've done on the right hand side. So I am using the same colour. I said I thought it was sage on the first page. I don't think it is. I think it's mineral. I think I was wrong with that. This definitely looks like mineral on this page. So it will have been mineral on the first page as well. So I started off with mineral and then magenta. And the reason it looks a different colour is because I won't have swapped the blending tool sponge over. I'll be using the mineral that's on there as a colour to start off with, and it does create a really pretty colour. That's the circles for painting the stencil from Dina, and then I decided I would add some circles on that page at the back too. So then I'm going in with the bead curtain. This is the permanent red violet light from Amsterdam Acrylic, and just adding a bit of that stenciling over the top. Adding in the whites of the eyes. And then I felt that I wanted a little pop of colour on my pages too. So I am using lime from Dina Wakley and going in and painting over the leaves. Just adding a little bit of a contrast and another pop of colour onto the pages. And because I want these pages to work together, whatever I do to the first page, I'm going to do to the second one as well. So then I'm also using a little bit of evergreen just to add a little bit of a shadow onto those leaves, and it just kind of adds the ups the ante with the interest level, definitely. You've got that light and dark going on. The value changes, Dina would say. And then I decided I would go in and do some more scribbly lines, and of course I'm going to have to go back over those leaves because I've now painted over them, so it's dulled that line work. So this of course will be the second time I've drawn over these, but I'm not bothered, it doesn't matter. But it's just popping those out from the background again. And sometimes you can make it look more intentional if you do more than one line when you're doing this sort of style of drawing. If you do one line, it kind of looks a bit too deliberate and careful. So going in and doing another one that's sketchy, doesn't necessarily follow over the first line, kind of fits with this style of drawing really. And you can see that works quite nicely. And it also helps to make that face at the top feel a bit more grounded and a bit more like it belongs. So now of course I've got to go and paint those leaves that I've just drawn in. This is quite often how my journal pages go. I have very much left a lot of the thinking process in here for you to see. So you can see how this page kind of evolves really. It definitely wasn't one that came together. I didn't start off with a finished idea in my head. I knew that I wanted to use these faces for the cutout pages. I had no clue how I was going to kind of pull it all together. So then of course using my dotty stamp to just add a bit more mark making, and putting that again of course at the top and bottom of the page. And you can see immediately how that just makes it all sort of come together. Okay, so now I am adding some more contrast. So there isn't much white on this page at the minute, so I decided I would add some white circles and stamp those in. And at the bottom corner here, I'm just going to match that circle with the one that's on the page underneath. And that doing little things like that also just helps to pull those pages together. I've done different sizes of circles too, and tried to work in odd numbers where I can. Then I've got a little bit of paint left over, so I'm going in and adding some splatters as well. I've also added a little pop of pink, so that was like a fluorescent pink Posca pen. And then I'm just writing my quote into the space that's left on this page. Realise that everything connects to everything else was a perfect quote for this page. And then here we go with the leaf shapes on the left hand side. So these are the ones that were cut out on the first page. So I couldn't just leave them empty. Well, I suppose I could, but I didn't like it like that. So I'm going in and I'm drawing around them so that they are part of this page behind as well. And that's a really nice thing to do when you do a kind of cutout page like this, is to try and make the second page feel like it belongs. So that was how this page came together. So these two cutout pages using Dina's, I'm pretty sure they are the church doodles. Lots and lots of fun using this to make these fun cutout pages. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I really hope to see you again soon.